All right, chat. Here we go. Let's get it. Waiting for it to go live here. And let's get it started.
I'm getting out of this.
Help, I'm pushing up,
Rotate.
No, they're rotating back, they're rotating back.
You're gonna go, just rotate, guys, just rotate, give it up, just give it up.
Right.
Nice, rotate.
Greetings and welcome to episode number 34 of The Rotation with Z-Hack. And we're trying something different. We are doing this one live on YouTube. We're going to see if it helps us get more viewers, get you guys interactive in the chat. We don't know, but nonetheless, let's get things started. As always, I got my trusty sidekick taking a nap, getting ready for the CDL matches that start tomorrow for Stage 2, Week 2. Murph, everybody say hello. Murph's in the chat, baby. Let's get it. And before we get into our first blood take, you guys see me representing. You know I'm a Call of Duty fan, okay? You know we're here to talk about the Call of Duty League on The Rotation with Z-Hack. But my guys, go Donks, the Denver Broncos just scooped up Russell Wilson about a week ago. He's finally in Denver, going on his social media tour, taking pictures with the team. Jerry Judy's excited. Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, Javonte Williams. We are hype as Denver Bronco fans. We're winning the Super Bowl. Toughest division in the league. Mark my words, that division, incredibly challenging. We don't care about Patrick Mahomes. We got a defense. We don't care about Derek Carr. You know why? We'll outscore the Raiders. Justin Herbert, you got some drip, my friend. Austin Eckler, I love you. You're a fellow gamer. No disrespect to you. But Broncos, they're going to win the division. One of you guys can fight for the wild card, but we're going to let Russ cook. All right, guys, we're going to get away from the NFL now. We can talk about that on another day. And it's time now to get into our first blood take. And a team that has not been so successful like the Denver Broncos will be next year, but this season in the present in the Call of Duty League are the New York Subliners. They are in shambles over there. I don't know if it's Maloney just ruining everything with his social media or what is going on in NYSL. That's just a joke. No shots taken at Maloney. I love that guy. He's incredibly interactive, puts together a great prowess for NYSL. Him, Gersh, all those guys do an absolutely incredible job. But NYSL are in shambles. Like, they are awful. They are beyond bad. They've given up. I never want to be one to come and absolutely basically just euthanize a team and desecrate them. But the New York Subliners, they are bad. They are struggling in a bad way, and they've given up. They're putting roles out on the map that we don't even know what they're doing it for. And just to take a look back at it, you see their match against Florida last week? They play Florida on the cage. Bocage. I still don't know how to say it correctly or how it's supposed to be pronounced, but how do you decide to play Florida on that map and let Skies and Awakening, let alone Dave Patty, cook like that? I mean, that's Florida's bread and butter. That's their map. That's what they want to play you on. Why do you not spread things out if you're NYSL and pick a map like Gavutu and let your ARs shine and Hydra run some routes or something like that? I have no idea. But that camp, it just looks like they've given up. You see everybody on Twitter. Clay is tweeting. Krim is tweeting. They're saying this is the all-time low that I have felt in my competitive career. And I feel for those guys. But you know who I feel worse for? Is Hydra. He's a young talent being straight up wasted this year. Like, he's an absolute animal on the map. We've seen what he can do. He's one of those rookies who stepped into that roster last year and took over immediately. Absolutely incredible. He can fry. He can run routes. There was a little bit of a language barrier to begin with, but I think he's vastly improved on his English, and on top of that, his comms are good. We've heard listen-ins, but it just sounds like this team is demoralized. They've given up on everything, and we know that. So let's not rip NYSL anymore and say, oh, they suck. Pretty much the entire league knows that they are the laughingstock, right? Everybody knows that NYSL are not good. Let's talk about what we can do to fix that team, okay? Plain and simple, things need to change. And let me preface this with saying, I know that the waters can get murky, because I don't know the exact details of Clay and Krim's contracts. I don't know if that's public information, something I could have looked up from a journalist perspective. Maybe I should have done a little more research, but I don't know if their contracts are all in, tagged, locked and loaded. You're in for the entire time. There's no buyout clause. There's no you leaving, we bench you, you still get paid no matter what. So if that's the case, if those guys are on max contracts and there's nothing you can do about it, and let's say you put them on the bench and you're still paying them with another player picked up, then that sucks for NYSL. That means that they are in a very tough spot. But if that's not the case, there are some things that need to change, and I think that I can solve NYSL problems pretty much immediately here. So here's what we're going to do. The Subliners, they haven't figured out their roles. They look like they haven't even learned Vanguard yet. They don't know what they're doing. They're just getting obliterated on the map. Like, they're getting outslayed, number one. Whenever they have a setup, they're giving up breaks. Let's just talk through the statistics of NYSL. They've won one match this year, because oftentimes you guys all say the Kickoff Classic doesn't count. We'll be fair. If the Kickoff Classic counts, they've won 3 matches on the season. If it doesn't count, they have won 1. Since Major 1, all the way through the qualifiers, into Stage 2, the only team that they have beaten are the Boston Breach. They beat them 3-2. Other than that, every single one of their matches has been a loss, and it's been either a 3-0 or a 3-1 to their opponent. Their hardpoint record is abysmal. 3-15 in hard points on the season for NYSL. Their control is probably their best game mode, 6-5. They're 4-4 on Gavutu and then 2-1 on Tuscan. Other than that, SND, they're 5-8. Like, it's nothing to write home about in the statistics. It's just everyone on that team has like a 0.8 in the respawns, and then apart from pretty much Krim and Hydra are the only two that are kind of standing up for themselves on that team, performing at the level that you would want them to. So with that being said, that kind of transitions into what I think would help this New York Subliners team. I think if you have to keep one of those guys, if they have a max contract in the veterans, it's got to be Krim at this point in time. So you keep him, and Hydra is a lock. Hydra is one of the freshest and best young talents in the league. He's shown signs of things like what shots he can do on the map, and even a couple of fresh SMG players who have been brought into the league this year. He looks as good as them, if not better. Like, you know, his gun skill is there. He'll rotate on time. The route man gets paid. Like Hydra, he can kind of play free, and that's what you let him do. He can go slay out and be that big killer on the map, and that's what you need from time to time. So strategically, to set up a successful roster for NYSL, I think there are 2 players that I have in mind that you bring up from the Challengers League into the CDL, and both of these players, give it a guess. I'm going to go ahead and filibuster for a second so you guys can think of who I am thinking of. Both these players from the Challenger scene have been in the Call of Duty League. I believe they were both in the Call of Duty League last year, not for the entire year, but they were both in the league last season. One of these players has had an extensive run as a professional player. He played with one of our broadcast analysts, nameless. That should give it away at that point. The other one, a fresh, young talent. Everybody loves him. He played for a team, quote unquote, overseas last year. And then back to the other player, Black Ops 4, he made a big statement with the team that he was on. If you guys haven't figured it out thus far, the roster changes that need to happen for NYSL, in my opinion, they need to bring Paul X onto the squad as a flex. That's the first player. He's been successful last year back in Cold War with the London Royal Ravens. He was dynamic every single time on Apocalypse Hardpoint. Like, let that be clear. Him and Afro, they ran amok on that map. I love the way Paul X played. He played with confidence. He played with grace. And he made the right move when his team needed to. He's one of those young guys who isn't just out there running like a chicken with his head cut off. He's playing very strategically. He understands what needs to happen around the map, and that's why I love Paul X. I think you throw him into a flex role and let Krim continue as the main AR for this roster. So then the question becomes, who do you duo with Hydra? Well, it's one of my favorite players of all time. I love the way he plays. I love what he does. He's entertaining outside of the Call of Duty League. When I watched his streams back in the day in Black Ops 3 is really when he came up as a jetpacker. Very entertaining. Played for teams like Cloud9, Gen G, and Black Ops 4. And he has a great mind for Call of Duty. That player is Havoc, a.k.a. Colt McClendon. I think he needs to be Hydra's duo. Those two offset each other very well. Neptune was brought in for Havoc on Florida. Now I think that it should be the flip-flop. I think Neptune needs to get benched or traded or dropped, whatever it may be, whatever NYSL need to do logistically, and they need to bring Havoc in. He counteracts Hydra's playstyle so well. Hydra can move aggressively, he can move quickly, he slays out oftentimes, and he's big in the respawns. Hydra's best mode this year, I think, is Control in my opinion, and I believe that the stats back that up. In Control, Hydra has the highest KD on the team, 1.1. That statistic, courtesy of breakingpoint.gg, we love those guys. So Hydra has a 0.99 in hardpoint this year, that's the highest KD on NYSL, and then he has that 1.1 in Control. He has the respawns on lock. Krim has been helping him in Control also with a 1.6, but that's just talking about the slaying factor, which is neither here nor there. Hydra excels in the respawns. You know where Havoc excels? He excels in those high IQ game modes where you play with a little bit more finesse, where you have to run routes, you have to find openings on the map and create space for your team and get information. Havoc is hands down one of the brightest search and destroy minds in the league, and I think NYSL would benefit greatly from having him as a shot caller and a playmaker in search and destroy. They've struggled 5-8 on the season in SND. I talked about hardpoint being the big struggle. Havoc can hold his own in the hardpoint, and he can really, really pick you up in maps 2 and 5, which you need desperately if you're NYSL. Because if you get to that map 5, Havoc can be the difference maker in SND. I think that most of you guys would have to agree with me. I think that this is the clear-cut roster change that needs to happen for NYSL. At the end of the day, all you have to do is please help Paco. Somebody needs to be there to help Hydra. I think Paul X running the flex, sitting Crim 6 as the main AR somewhere he's a little bit more comfortable, even though he did look pretty good with the SMG against Florida in that last series that NYSL played. Regardless, I think you stick Crim somewhere he's more traditional. He kind of invented the flex role, to be honest, like back in the day with Optic and then even a little bit into the future. But aside from that, stick Crim 6 at the main AR. Let Paul X run the flex. He can hold the automaton on the map that's kind of deeper, Gravutu, and then maybe Berlin. And then on the flip side, he can run another sub or even hold the AR on maps like Tuscan, but Bocage, you probably want to run 3 subs. And then finally, to round out that roster, Havoc, Route Man gets paid. He will finesse for you. He will play around the map as a sub, and he's one of the brightest IQ search and destroy minds in the Call of Duty League. You can talk to Haggy about it, one of his old teammates. You can talk to Nagafin about it. You can talk to Nameless. You can talk to Envoy. They will all give high praise when it comes to Havoc. That's the move for NYSL. It's the one that they need to make. Let me know what you guys think, the roster change or whatever needs to happen. But NYSL, they are struggling right now. Before we hop into the Barracks news and notes around the league, I think we continue talking about a struggling roster, and that's Paris. A lot of guys have been sounding the alarm on Paris and what they did this past week. Listen, they weren't great, especially the performance from Gizmo. And that's where I don't think that you need... Oh, pardon me. Gizmo coming back to the London Royal Ravens. That's something we're talking about a little bit later, okay? Everybody go ahead and simmer down, all right? Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. Everyone knows what. All right, let's go ahead and regroup here. Gizmo, we will talk about in just a second. Where I was really going with that, the names sound alike, is Jimbo. Jimbo, Gizmo, they both have the immo in their names. But Jimbo, wow, what a tough series for him. He's been getting ripped, he's been getting analyzed, and I think the biggest thing that we need to do is slow down. Give Paris a little bit of time to get this roster in check. Give them a little bit of time to practice and understand each other and understand the play styles. I think Gravity played pretty good. Like, him and Temp were the stars of this series against the Minnesota Rokkr. And give credit to Paris because they forced it 5 maps, but Minnesota, they made some pretty bad mistakes to allow Paris to force it to 5 maps. So what I think is going to happen is that Paris will get in tune with each other with another week of practice. I think that's something that's big for Jimbo. I really think Gravity is one of those young players who came out of the Challengers scene right on to the COD League scene with the franchise teams, and he has made some incredible noise. So he had a very good first series, and all that needs to happen with Jimbo, a lot of guys talked about this. You heard it if you watched The Flank with Aches and Benjay Nassim and the man Zuma. Shout out to them and what they're doing over there with the podcast. They're making moves. But a lot of those guys, and I agree with them, they said that Jimbo just needs to slow down, man. He was just almost jittery, and he's just going, just running and gunning like spawn, die, spawn, die, spawn, die. Not holding an angle, not playing patient whatsoever, and that caused him to have one of the worst series in Call of Duty history. I think he had like a 0.5 or a 0.6 against Minnesota and just got ran over. Like, it was not a good opening series for Jimbo. I don't think we need to worry too much about Paris. I think that they've actually shown signs of life and they have potential. I say that because I think this is Temp's best year in a long time. Like, he's motivated and he's playing extremely well. Watch out for Temp. Gravity seems like a really, really good addition so far and somebody that can make some noise for this team. And then it just comes to John and Jimbo. Like, can those two get in sync on the map? Can they make plays kind of cohesively and together work as a unit? I think the comms need to show some signs of improvement from Paris, but I don't think we need to panic too early. I think the time to panic, we give another week or two for Paris. If things are still looking as bad as they did for Jimbo, then we're going to see a real problem. That's the story for them. That's what we need to watch out for. That's the first blood take. We're talking about the 2 bottom teams in the CDL, struggling rosters in NYSL and Paris, and my opinion on them and what I think needs to happen. That is that. We're going to get away from that, and we're going to talk about some fun stuff for the rest of the episode. Maybe. Maybe we're still going to roast some people. Maybe we're going to get into some nitty-gritty topics. But without further ado, let's get into the Barracks news and notes from around the league. I'm excited, guys. I'm really excited for what Major number 2 is going to bring. We're headed into Stage 2, Week 2. I think we have to get through that first. So I think that's where we're going to start. We're going to start leading up into the Minnesota Rokkr Major. Let's go ahead and do some predictions. Let's get into our pick'ems right away. I know you guys love these. You know you need to join me. The rotation with Z-Hack. Join our pick'em league. Let's get it on here. Let's get it up. See my beautiful face still. You guys can see the show log. And let's kind of break down these matches that we had last week as we transition. London Royal Ravens are good, man. Those guys are for real. I think they're one of the top 3 teams in the Call of Duty League right now, plain and simple. And it's a toss-up even if they're second or third. Like, they are that good, and we're going to talk about that with one of the big matches they have this week. Pretty much one of the most obvious things that was going to happen were the London Royal Ravens were going to dominate the New York Subliners, and yeah, that's exactly what happened. They roasted them. It was an easy breeze. Subliners picked up 1 map. I predicted that series 3-1. That was very good. I love Boston Breach. I'm going to go through these really quick, guys, because I want to get into the predictions for this week. We all know what happened last week, so we're going to try and breeze straight through it. The Boston Breach are one of my favorite teams in the CDL. I love these guys. I love the passion on their team. I love Zinni being happy. He's one of my favorite personalities in the league. And they have a Rookie of the Year candidate on that roster in Big Cap. The guy holds the kill record in the Call of Duty League with 54 on Bo Cage. What an absolute animal. They take down the Surge 3-1. And Seattle Surge have taken a big step back. Like, it's been pretty brutal for what's happened to the Seattle Surge as of late. Florida are turning in to a team that people need to watch out for. Like Dave Patty is another guy in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. I really, really like him on this roster, and they're gelling well. He's able to play with finesse. He is able to slay and create opportunities for Big Wake and Skies to do what they need to do on the map. I like the way that Florida are playing. We kind of talked about this roster change. Paris get 3-0'd by LAG, and then the series against Minnesota later on, so that was pretty obvious. I started off good, and then after that, it was like, what in the hell happened on Saturday? Well, I will tell you exactly what happened. The LA Thieves got 3-0'd by the London Royal Ravens, which is why they are one of the top 3 teams in the league. Like, I thought LA Thieves were in the conversation. They've been struggling. They got to figure out some things with SND. They made some monumental mistakes. We'll talk about those later, but against Optic in the 3-2, some will say they choked it. They just made some simple mistakes that they shouldn't, and it resulted in Optic winning that series. We know with the picks and bans, they said that they're a really good Desert Siege team. They wanted to try something new, play it, test themselves. That's what happened. I digress. Toronto, Minnesota, I thought that Minnesota was going to play a lot better this week. They struggled really, really bad. They gave up a lot of bad situations when it came to Toronto, and then when it came to the side of letting Paris kind of into a series, they eventually reverse swept them. We'll talk about that match. And then the FaZe Killers reigned true still. The Atlanta FaZe lose 3-2 to the Seattle Surge. They looked really good. Mac looked like an absolute unit in this series. He was running around the map, flying, kind of taking the bull by the horns, accuracy, doing his thing as well. I think Seattle Surge, as I said earlier in the week on Friday, they have taken a step back, and then they go out and beat the Atlanta FaZe. What the hell is going on? The Atlanta FaZe have shown some chinks in the armor. They lost to Optic, got reverse swept, and then 5-2 in the grand finals of Major 1. And now they start off their bid for stage number 2 by beginning 0-1, losing to the Seattle Surge in a 3-2 fashion. We progress to Sunday. This series is something where we saw the role switch implemented for Minnesota Rokkr, and I kind of like the way it's looking right now, letting Priestess sort of do his thing and giving the flex role to somebody else. It's worked out okay. I think there's still signs of improvement, but we have to talk about Major Maniac and what he means to this team. I think he doesn't get enough credit. He's probably the star player. Like him and Attach are the 2 stars of this roster, and you know what you're going to get from Standy. It's going to be consistency. He'll make some mistakes here and there. He's still a young player. He is still learning, but Major Maniac helps this team a lot, not only in the respawns, but the SND. He grew up on it. I go back to talking about someone like Havoc, who I think needs to be in the league. Major Maniac, man. The S&D tournaments where he would play with Teddy Rex and Tupac, guys like that, and they would battle in Black Ops 3 against Nick Merckx and Amps and Neo. Those guys would have battles and high roller wagers and tournaments every single night. Don't sleep on Major Maniac. He's one of the brightest S&D minds in the league, and that's what makes Minnesota Rokkr so good. They clutch up the S&D. You get them to map 5, oftentimes they will succeed. I already talked about this mess with Florida and New York. We don't want to talk about that again. And then the big match everyone wanted to watch. I thought Optic were going to 3-0 Thieves. It looked that way. They dominated the first hard point, and then they got 6-0'd in Search, and then dominate the control, and then a little back and forth on the hard point. And then the Search and Destroy, some questionable things happened. Mistakes were made. We're still learning. We're just early on in stage 2, but this is my cutoff. This is my cutoff in the league for that excuse. Like, no more we're learning the game. No more, we're figuring it out, trying new things in scrims. Like, it's go time. We're deep into the league. Figure it out. LA Thieves have to figure some things out. When they play these high caliber teams, that's when they have struggled and made those mistakes that you just can't make. On the flip side, they look really successful against decent to poor teams. And I think we'll get some of those matchups in week 2. So let's get it. We had, let's find it here, 18 points in week 1. Let's see where that puts us on the leaderboard, actually. I don't know why that says 8 points. We clearly saw 18, so we're struggling. But 8 would put me in second. Holy cow, 9 is the top. So 18, I'm pretty confident about that with what we've seen so far. Now we head into week 2. I do not think, all my old ones are here. Let's go ahead and unsave these. I got to click all these down to 0. I can't spoil anything. And even if you guys are seeing some of these right now and taking notes, I might switch some of them on you, okay? I know you all want to copy my predictions because I know stuff that you don't know. I'm one of the best gamblers, predictors, whatever it may be, as when it comes to Call of Duty. All right, we got everything zeroed out. Now let's get into some saving grace here. Despite the fact that Paris Legion have had another week to practice, I think the London Royal Ravens are the second best team in the Call of Duty League right now. I think it's them and Optic hand in hand, and we can break it down and talk about it. It was announced earlier today they get Gizmo back. Paul X stepped in nicely, but the London Royal Ravens, Gizmo has been an animal. He's helped them out in so many different ways, in so many different game modes. I had this originally with London 3-1 over Paris. I think it's a 3-0, man. I think that this Friday is going to be quick up until the final matchup. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Yeah, London are going to dominate. They get Gizmo back. He's going to be playing with Patchin. He has a chip on his shoulder. I feel bad. Thoughts out to him and everything he has going with his family, having to travel back home and take care of business. I love this kid. Rookie of the Year conversation, Gizmo, Dave, Patty, and Cap. Those are my top 3 front runners and contenders right now. I love all of them. I think Gizmo makes a statement coming back into this one. Paul X is on the market. New York, pick him up. I digress. I say less. 3-0, London Royal Ravens. Hop into this one. Seattle played, they played a good match against FaZe. They kind of rise to the occasion against good teams. But I think Optic are just too good. Dashy is saying, ooh, who else loves Vanguard? I love Vanguard, and he's proven it. He is a stud. Right now, Dashy is the best player in the game. On last episode, number 33 of the rotation with Zhack, he was labeled the best in the game, in my opinion. He dominated the major. He's one of the best ARs in the league, and he has grown so much as a player, become a lot more mature. I think Rambo has helped a lot with that and this entire team. I think everyone would agree with that. If you talk to Chance, Miles Ross, Lando, even Nameless, the guy who hates Optic, if you talk to those guys, I think they'll agree with me, saying that Rambo is one of the best adjustments made for this Optic Texas team. And on top of that, they have helped nurture and grow Dashy as a player, and his raw, God-given talent is there. Hitting snipes, gunning guys with the AR, 3-1 Optic over Seattle. Mac was playing good, accuracy was looking good, but I think kind of the veteran prowess and how good Optic have looked give them the edge in this series. So a 3-0 and a 3-1 to start this day. This is the matchup maybe of the weekend. And if you don't look at FaZe and Ultra on Sunday, this is probably the matchup of the weekend, and I love it. Listen, I've been one to give high praises to the Minnesota Rokkr. I've loved them. A lot depends upon a couple of things that happen in this series. Number one is the vetoes. It depends how well these two teams kind of counteract each other, what happens on the coin flip, and then also what kind of server we get. But I think this series is going to be tight. Minnesota have struggled so much with the first map. They have looked awful with the first map hard point. So just from that alone, I think Boston win the 2 hard points. When it comes to control, Minnesota have clutched up, and I think they're one of the best S&D teams in the league. I think the way this goes is Boston wins both hard points, Minnesota get control in the first search, but then I think the way the vetoes are going to go, and we're predicting a lot down here, I think the final S&D is going to favor Boston, and they've clutched up. Nero has been huge in big moments of S&D. The same thing for Capsidal. It just comes down to methods. We've seen him struggle in S&D. I think this is a time where methods takes over. Let's look at the stats for the Boston Breach, courtesy of BreakingPoint.gg when we get into the S&D. You take a look at it. Nero stepped up in big spots, even though he has the .92. Methods has succeeded. We've seen Methods on maps he said, oh man, I forget which one it was. I think he said earlier this year in an interview, get me off bow cage S&D and I can open things up. I think he popped off on a Desert Siege and a Tuscan. So if the vetoes go the way of Boston and they get one of those maps, I think it was Desert Siege. If you give Zinni Desert Siege, it's over. If Minnesota veto that and they maybe play on Tuscan and then they look for a Berlin, I think it still gives the edge to the side of the Boston Breach. When you look at their statistics, they're 3-2 in S&D on Berlin, and then 2-0 on Desert Siege. Like, I guarantee that Minnesota are going to veto that out, but regardless, listen, I love Minnesota. I have bought their team pack on Vanguard, and the only reason I haven't bought Boston Breach is because it's not available yet, because those are my two, favorite social media teams and teams to root for in the league right now, and I like their colors. I like repping them. I think they give us one hell of a series. It goes all 5 maps, and I take Boston Breach, lock it in. We advance there to Saturday, and this is the other matchup of the weekend I look for. This is the number 2 and number 3 team in the Call of Duty League right now. This is going to be an incredible series. And the Atlanta FaZe, they haven't totally looked like the Atlanta FaZe that we have known and we have loved. Like, they dominated Cold War, plain and simple. They were winning every major, except for when Toronto popped off, and then when there was a LAN in Minnesota, had the 0-4 comeback, and we were like, oh, what just happened? And in that major, if I recollect, Atlanta, they got bopped out by Seattle. That was wild. I digress. But they don't look the same kind of dominance that they have in years past. I said it early on at the start of the season in an episode and heading into major number 1. I said I will not bet against the Atlanta FaZe until they lose. They have lost, and they've shown a couple signs of weakness. I fully trust Crowder to get them back on track, and I trust the talent of Atlanta FaZe. Don't get me wrong. But right now, especially with Gizmo, I think the London Royal Ravens are the better team. I think this one goes the distance, all 5 maps. It's going to be incredible, but I think that the London Royal Ravens end up winning. They're the second best team in the league right now. I think them and Optic are 1-2. I know FaZe took them down pretty easily in the major. There's a feeling in my gut. It's a different story. I like the upset. I think this is an upset, but I just like that right now. Holy cow. Is this the matchup of the weekend? The one on Saturday at 1:30. The battle of the bottom of the CDL. Oh my gosh. Is anyone looking forward to this? Who's going to be there to analyze this? Is the CDL going to sub me in? Nameless doesn't want to watch this map, I can tell you that much. The casters are playing rock, paper, scissors over who gets the New York and Paris match this week. And if they lose, they're going to be like, not happy. The casters will not be happy, whoever has this match. But they might actually be happy, because the battle of the bottom, it could get tight. I do not know. I don't know what's going to happen. Are there going to be different rosters on this team? What's going on? I just think right now New York are just that bad. I really think they are. I think that Temp takes over in the hardpoint. New York are awful in hardpoint. We already talked about that. We already went over it. I think they've won they're 3-15 on hardpoints this season. It's just not good. They're okay in control, mediocre in search. I think maybe they win a control or a search. I think Paris, with a week of practice, they can kind of slow things down with Jimbo. Temp, Gravity, and John, they can do enough to take over. I think Paris win this one 3-1. And the woes continue for the Subliners. One of the hottest teams right now playing Optic. This could get interesting. It really could. I think that the Florida Mutineers are a scary team, and one that teams do not want to face up against. Like, they kind of look forward at the calendar and they see Florida and they're like, oh, it's Florida. And they're like, oh, that's Florida. Right now they're 2-0 and rolling. Both matches 3-0. They played LAG, who I think are a decent team, and then they went up against New York, and we know how that happened. But I think Vivid and Dave Patty have been pretty good as a duo this season. Vivid has some room to work with in maps number 2 and 3, and then 5 as well. But the S&D and the control, Vivid has lacked a little bit, and that's kind of funny because last season he took over in the S&D in Cold War. Like, that was one of his modes where he excelled, and he helped those rosters that he jumped on in the middle and late of the year. I think Vivid will find his stride. I like the pacing from Dave Patty. You can't stop Big Wake when it comes to hardpoint, and then you can't stop Skies when it comes to control. And then what's happening in the S&D is Big Wake and Dave Patty have kind of come together. You look at all the statistics there, and these guys have been solid. They're going to try and play a Tuscan control, because we know how good Optic are. When you break things down in this series, well, actually, holy cow, are you going to try and fight fire with fire? I wasn't even thinking. I was thinking that was Desert Siege for a second. Get out of here. Get that out of my head. But Tuscan is Optic's best control. You don't want to play them there, but look at that. 5-2, that's Florida's favorite map. I think they might let it slide through. They might battle on that map because that's what you're going to get. We might see a Tuscan control. And then Florida, they're going to try and play on Berlin for S&D. They're 0-2 on Bocage, 0-2 on Desert Siege, and then they can match on Tuscan. This might be a Tuscan-heavy series because Optic are probably going to try and ban Bocage for the hardpoint. Florida aren't going to want to play that for the search. So we might see a Berlin hardpoint, maybe a Tuscan, a Gavutu. I don't know how the picks and bans are going to go here, but I just like the way that Florida have been playing. I think this one, honestly, has the opportunity to go the distance, and I think that Optic have been better in the search and destroy. I think we're in for a good series here. Florida have caused some trouble for good teams. I think this is a 3-2. Saturday is going to be a long day and a lot more exciting. I think Optic pulled through. They're too good. They're too well coached. The communication is so good. The trades are good. They're just an all-around dominant team right now. They're the best in the league, one of the favorites to watch for everybody. They're the best. Oh, man. I love this matchup, too. Toronto and Boston. Toronto have figured it out. They looked like they struggled for a little bit. They had some challenges in the major, but I think that they have things put together and they'll bounce back. I love this roster. They're really good. They've been excelling in areas where they haven't in the past. I think that they take this one pretty handedly, despite the fact of me loving the Boston Breach. And Boston Breach, you guys need to send me a big cap jersey. That's all I'm saying. Okay? I love you guys. I love what you're doing. I want to represent it. I digress. But I think Toronto are the better team here. I think they win 3-1. I do. I think Boston can maybe take a hard point or a control, one of those respawns. But other than that, I think Toronto have improved really well in search up to this point, and they take it. So that puts Boston, in my opinion, at 1-1 here on the weekend. And then we move in to the Sunday. LAG only played this one match this week, and when we look back to week 1, they pulled the 3-0 on Paris. They lost the 3-0 to Florida. What does that say about them? They beat the bottom 2 team in the league, and they got smoked by a team who's hot and heavy. So how do you kind of analyze that? Well, you look at the matchup, and you say Seattle Surge are coming off one of the best victories of the season over Atlanta FaZe. I think this series goes the distance. I have it going all 5 maps, and I think Seattle Surge, they have those young players, man. Dante. I sounded like Zuma there for a second. I turned Italian. Dante, he's my boy. Chicken Parmesan, you know? Put some oregano on there. The red chili flakes. Sounded like Zuma for a second. But Dante, Sib and Pred, those guys, they've been dominating. They are bred in search and destroy, excelled in the challenger scene in that area. I think it comes down to that. I really like how Asim has been playing lately. I love Gunless on this roster. Slasher and Huke are figuring it out. I think that LAG are a good team. They're a middle-of-the-road team right now, but so are Seattle. Seattle have the momentum after beating FaZe. I think they get a good week of practice in. They have the experience from Mac and Accuracy also. And Accuracy, he just injects the ice in his veins when it comes to S&D. That's where they take over. I think that Seattle win it in a map 5. You move over, and I think this is where you kind of need to sound the alarm for Minnesota. Don't get me wrong. The first day here, I'm going out on a limb. I think this map goes 5. The Rokkr are a better search and destroy team. The reason I took Boston 3-2 is because I have the vetoes getting Boston having the final say and getting to make the map 5 a search and destroy that they want. If that doesn't happen, Minnesota win this series. But if they don't win that series, this is a tough one against LA Thieves. It gets broken down like this. Minnesota have been awful at hardpoint. Like, let's talk about it. At least the first map. Maybe not off. Maybe I'm going a little bit too far there to say awful on hardpoint. But they have been bad in the first map to kick the series off. Okay, check that. They've just been bad at hardpoint in general. 5-12, 2 more wins than NYSL. We talk about the one on Tuscan. They are 0-5, so they're going to get tried to be played against there, and they should have one win. They should be 1-4 on Tuscan. They choked. They made some bad plays. Everyone will talk about the play that Standy made to end it when he was on the hill. He kept going off towards mid to see if someone was rotating towards Fire and Church to get behind him, and he was just losing second after second. If he just sat on the hill, they win that Tuscan. That's okay. It's a play that a young player will make. He's going to learn from it. But the hard point has been astronomically bad, and so is the control. So I think what happens here is Minnesota are going to lose the first two maps. Like, LA Thieves are going to go up on the hard point and control. Then LA Thieves have struggled really, really bad when it comes to search and destroy. Rokkr have excelled in that area. I don't think that Rokkr get an opportunity to play a fifth map in this series. I think LA Thieves, they win the second hard point, take it 3-1. This will be a good confidence booster for LAT headed into another week, and I think they'll pick up the 3-1 victory. How do we not have a Game Fuel Spotlight match of the week here? We had two last week, and we don't have one this week against Ultra and FaZe. FaZe coming off a tough loss against Seattle, and then I have them losing to London. I think they are going to come out for blood. Even though I think that Ultra are like a top 4, top 5 team in the league, I think FaZe end up winning this series. I think they get it done in the respawns. They'll put it together in the hard point. Ultra will maybe take the control. Search and Destroy will be taken by FaZe. And then, honestly, I think Ultra might pick up the second hard point, and it comes down to S&D. This is where you need someone to like Celium to step up. You need a BZ to have that first blood prowess like he has from time to time. I think he gets it done. I think Atlanta FaZe do it. I think they win 3-2. What else do we have? We're not going to go through week 3. I think that would take us too much overboard in how much time I want to spend. You know, want to get you guys away, allow you the time to watch March Madness, whatever you want to do for the rest of the afternoon. But these are my predictions. We're going to go ahead and save them here, and then we'll take a look at them. Save the predictions. London 3-0, Optic 3-1. We're starting back at the beginning of the week. Boston 3-2 over Minnesota. London with a big win, 3-2 over Atlanta FaZe. Paris Legion, they get the win over New York, 3-1. Optic 3-2 over a good Florida team who's been playing hot right now. Ultra 3-1 over Boston Breach. Then you get the Gorillas losing 3-2 to Seattle. Thieves take it over Rokkr, which will put them in a panic headed into their own home series, and we'll talk about that in a second. And then Atlanta FaZe cap off the weekend with a big 3-2. I'm excited for this week of COD. I think we're in for a good one. I think it's going to be exciting. A lot of good matchups. A lot of big names will make a difference. I look for a few players to step up and probably rookies to foreshadow a segment we're going to go to. Next transition here, and I think the final one we have coming up on the show log until we get to who's the best in the game, is the home series coming up. The Minnesota Rokkr are set to host Major number 2. It's going to be lit. Let me tell you. Gosh, I wish I could go here. I love Minnesota Rokkr. They have everything around them. I love all the players on their roster. Their social media prowess is incredible. The content is amazing. They get to operate like out of basically the same offices as the Minnesota Vikings, if you haven't seen where they're located in Minnesota. And this major, it's going to be at like a casino. It's lit. So the Minnesota Rokkr, they are back. They are hosting Major number 2 for the Call of Duty League at the Mystic Lake, March 31st to April 3rd. And there's also a Challengers tournament here. How insane is that? Look at this, $500,000 prize pool. It's going to be incredible. Tickets available, and I want to talk about this. Listen, Optic put on one hell of a major. I don't know if anyone can outdo Hex and Hastro. They had alcohol there. You saw the Trulies flowing through Maniac and Hitch and TST and all those guys, and the crowd included. They got hype, and they also had some idiots saying, he's defusing! So don't get too drunk where you're doing that, all right? Don't be a dumbass. But I think Minnesota are putting something on as well. You look at the general admission, GA, not general agreement, gentleman's agreement, general admission. You get a 4-day pass there. Doors open an hour prior to the event being open. That's all right. I wouldn't spend my penny on that. Look at the Valhalla pass. Yeah, maybe that's something I'd do here. So this one, you get VIP lounge access, a Minnesota Rokkr swag bag, which is what we all want. I love the purple and black, purple and white. An exclusive credential where you get entry early before general admission. So hour and a half early. General admission, get an hour early. That's pretty big. You know where I'd spend my dollar? On the Rokkr package. Look at this. This includes a 4-day hotel stay for 2 people. If my brother can't go, I'm bringing Meg. If Meg can't go and she's working, you know who I'm bringing? I'm bringing Murph. He's sleeping right now, but I'm bringing him, okay? And you're going to like it. Everyone's going to get to see the beautiful chocolate Labrador. Give him pets. Just make sure that you bring treats for him. So we get that. Then we get 2 VIP passes, Rokkr swag bags, which are better than the Valhalla swag bags. And then, like I said, it's at a casino, $200 in casino gift cards valid at the Mystic Lake. You get food, you get beverage, whatever you may be, then you can gamble your life away. You know everyone's going to be there doing that. Then you get access to 1 VIP event. I'm sure there are going to be plenty of them throughout the weekend. The Rokkr, they know how to do it up. They know how to turn up. $2,600 in value. I think it's like $1,800, $1,900. Listen, if I didn't work at a golf course, if I didn't have to work on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I would be there. You get open bar, you get the hotel. It's incredible. I would click purchase package right away. Then you have the challenger scene. You get to see the best tournament. I would see my boy Colt Havoc there. Let me see if I can find this for you guys. I would see my boy Colt Havoc. Saw this guy on land back in like 2017, I think, 2018. Whenever Infinite Warfare was going on, me and my brother went to CWL Anaheim when that was still a thing. And it was incredible. We turned up. I'm getting there. I got to scroll through the camera roll. We're on trips right now. We're in New York, running the marathon with Meg. But the challengers, that's one of the coolest things that I think an event is going to do this year. To allow the next level and the future of competitive Call of Duty to compete at a LAN environment, we're really going to see who the best of the best are in this situation, in this scenario. I'm really excited for that. I'm happy for all these guys who have the opportunity to compete. All right, here we go. Check it out, everybody. Me and my boy Havoc just turning up at Anaheim. And then at this point, he was at the Scuff signing booth. I got him to sign the good old Snapchat. How sweet is that? And then apart from that, back in the day, we got to see all the guys from MFAM as well. You know? Me and Nick Merckx, I was one of the OGs. I was watching Nick Merckx back when he had like 500 viewers, okay? I'm one of the OGs, and then Gage and Neo also. All right? This is the kind of stuff that you can expect at the Minnesota Rokkr Home Series. I think it's going to be phenomenal. The swag is going to be there. You're going to get the swag bag. You're going to buy some sweet stuff. It's going to be lit. Maybe Gary V is there. You get to talk to him, and you'll say, Gary, I got the rotation with Z-Hack. It's a podcast that I do. You know, hey, what can I do? He'll be like, how old are you? How old are you, my man? You're 25-year-old? You got a lot of time. Just do what you love. You know what? I think you should do it. You should keep on grinding. Keep on going, my man. You got to find what you love. You got to find what you love to do. I worked at a winery for my parents until I was 25, saving up while all my buddies were out getting drunk, partying. I was working. That's so cringe. That's so cringe. But if you see Gary V at the Minnesota Rokkr Home Series, tell him I said what's up. Tell him I love you. Tell him I love the Minnesota Rokkr, and I want to work for you guys on your social media team one of these days. I want to work for the Call of Duty League in general, but hey, a start to start. So if you guys are able to, if you have the availability, hear it from me. Going to a LAN event is one of the coolest things to do. And this home series, it's going to be incredible. Go to the Minnesota Rokkr Home Series. Enjoy yourself. Have a good time for Z-Hack, okay? Enough of that. We got one more thing to talk about until I let you guys go for the afternoon. And come on. You know it's everybody's favorite segment. You want to talk about it. So let's get right into it. Hey, Scumpy, give me a hand. Where are we going? What's that? Oh, who's the best in the game? Who's the best in the game, baby? We got to give a shout out this week to all the rookies out there. 3 of them I want to keep in mind. I've highlighted them in the episode earlier on already. Capsidal, Dave Patty, and Gizmo. These guys are absolutely disgusting. They are running amok on the Call of Duty League and making a statement, and they will be here. They will be staple names for years to come. Capsidal is huge in every mode. He slays out in the respawns, and he picks up multi-kills left and right and runs routes like nobody has ever seen in Search and Destroy. So shout out to Big Cap. 54 kills on Bocage, the record holder in the CDL. Dave Patty, this guy knows how to finesse. He knows how to pick up kills, but he also opens things up on the map for the stars of his team, and he's becoming a star. But let alone, you let him be the Steve Nash, if you will. Give the assist and let the other guys shine in the spotlight. Big Wake and Skies, they're doing the things that they're doing on the map because of Dave Patty. Let that be known. This guy is incredible. The last one, Gizmo. He's been battling through personal issues all season long. Trust me, he has made the London Royal Ravens better. Him, Zero, Afro, a couple of the star guys on that team, okay? And then we give a shout out to Paul X, stepping up for this roster to fill in for Gizmo. But with him coming back, putting on a Rookie of the Year performance, he has excelled throughout big matches. He will continue to do it. And apart from that nasty, he's also a guy who has been incredible. I love this roster for London Royal Ravens. I think they're top 2 in the league. Top 2, top 3 behind Optic. Then you can fight between them and FaZe, or maybe if you even want to throw in an Ultra at that point. The rookies are running amok, guys. They are taking over the Call of Duty League. I've talked about this time and time again in years past on the podcast. It's the Call of Duty Rookie League, okay? All of the big names that we know and love, they're on their way out, and these are the ones you have to watch out for, the personalities you have to see who are taking over. I love Capsidal. I love Gizmo. And I love Dave Patty. Those guys are the best in the game right now. Shout out to that. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to this live episode, number 34 of The Rotation with Z-Hack. Leave a comment down below, a like, share the podcast. It'll be up on Spotify, friends, family, and Call of Duty lovers alike. We want to spread the Call of Duty League, make it the best esport on planet Earth. That's what I'm here for. It's passion. I know you guys love it. I love it. Once again, I appreciate you all for tuning in at ZHack16 right here down below on all social media platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok as well. Follow me there. Thanks so much, everyone, and we will see you next time. Peace.